Bro, you know whose image you are made in? Yeah. If you're a Christian, you know this. It's God's. Man, all throughout culture, all throughout time, civilization, and stuff like that, whenever you see like the building and the governments that run it and whatnot, you tend to see that there are certain ideologies pushed that are literally leading you to follow a certain path that's designed for you. Not by God, but through culture and the elites and all this other stuff going on. And when you remember who and whose you are, that's when you start to fall into alignment with your calling, your purpose. And you can look back on moments like this, and this is why I recommend just the guys in my group and the guys in my community. I'm like, dude, you need to journal. Journaling is so important. Now there was a time where I tried to avoid reading books. I tried to avoid journaling. I did it for gosh, probably decades, honestly. Like it was a really long time. I would just hear stuff out there, maybe watch it on YouTube videos or hear it on a podcast. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I'd forget about it later. And then when I needed to reference it to someone to say, hey, I heard this, try this method, or I, I heard this statistic or whatever. Like I wouldn't remember the resource to give them, and I wouldn't even know what to look for. So it's good to journal in moments whenever you do have the time. Which if you're listening, unless you're driving, whenever you're listening to something or watching something, have a notepad by you. And if it's like an open journal where you're reflecting on something and you freaking open up that journal and just write down these thoughts, or maybe something you just heard. But we need to be consistent in doing that, because when we don't journal and document our journey, we tend to get lost in little ditches. Where my ditches at? Yeah, you tend to get stuck sometimes, and ditches, they vary. But in this case, I'm going to say it's a medium-sized ditch, maybe about 5 feet deep, and we tend to feel like there's no way out. But you are a freaking giant amongst men when you live for Christ, and you are like 8, 9 foot tall, and you're in a 5 foot hole, and you think you're trapped. I'm like, dude, all you need to do is lift a leg and push yourself right out of there. But too many people, they'll tend to fall back and just find comfort in just, I don't know, I guess just being stuck. But when you tend to, document the journey once again, then you'll understand the importance of kind of your purpose in life. And you'll see things that maybe God has shown you. And also, it's good to, reflect on things that were working and things that weren't working. This is, and it's also, it's also good to have certain specific journaling methods that you have, like a system, like habits, for example. The best book out there for habits, I think, and you're also going to see, if you go on Amazon, man, people will put the dumbest reviews. And sometimes it doesn't even reference the item at all. They'll tend to put reviews about, oh, well, the box was damaged or whatever. Then they'll rate it 1 star. I'm like, that makes 0 sense, because what you got was a book in mint condition, and I don't know. I just think those are funny. But sometimes you'll see that one toxic negative review, and it'll like literally start to reframe the way you think, and that's why you have to be so freaking careful in what you invite in. But in Atomic Habits, he creates like systems. Like, systems are so freaking important, and you need to understand like your environments, the people you put like that are around you, and also trauma. You have to do things in a different way, and you might even have something. I don't think this is in Atomic Habits, but there might be something in your environment that you might have had from your childhood that you happen to see in your peripheral, or you might even not even really think much about it, but every time you see it, it reminds your subconscious mind that, when I had this, it was when I was going through, some abuse growing up. So you need to get rid of it, or just put it in storage or something like that. Just get it out of the house. Uh, and it's important to do that, because I think, without getting too deep in it, there are a lot of things, whether we realize it or not, there are spiritual, demonic attachments to them. And I know you're like, oh man, this guy must be a spiritual idiot. I'm like, no, like, I've lived a life. I understand, witchcraft and Wiccans, because that's how I actually became a Christian, was because somebody I was dating practiced that stuff. And well, not Christian, but practice witchcraft and stuff like that. So I understand that there are charged objects, so you need to be careful. But not, once again, everything isn't charged. But pray over what it is that is in your house, and if you happen to have like a vision, even if it's the most random thing ever, then you need to get whatever that item is out of your house when you're praying to grow, especially to grow closer to Christ. You say, God, if there are things or barriers in this house limiting my growth to you, just show me. And sometimes you're probably not going to like it because if you're like me, I like to hold on to things, but um, that's not always good and healthy. And it's amazing the freedom and the clarity you'll get after that whenever you start to create the systems that you need. And how when things start to like kind of not go our way, that's why I need to rely on God. And I'll be honest, I struggle with this sometimes, but we'll have these systems to fall back on. And the systems obviously vary person to person, but let's just say if you happen to, I don't know, live through like a lot of trauma growing up like that, and you don't like, and this is for me personally, and you don't like being in a room, and whenever you're by a room, you always need to be by a door, or you need to be able to like view who's coming in and out. And this was like me, even when you're around like people who you trust with your life, but you need to ground yourself in those moments, and that can be system number one is grounding yourself, looking around things in your environment to help you focus, to help you lock in. There's my new term for you. I learned that this week. Yeah, there's so much slang and stuff. It always slang is, I don't know, as long as I'm updated with my slang, I guess I'm good. But that'll help you lock in, and then also just saying it out loud, that helps. Now if you have people around you, it could be a little different, but if they really know you, then they'll understand. But that's just one example, because I can give you so many. But also when you're around a group of other like-minded men, they will also like give you ideas and feedback, and then they can tell whenever you're starting to get distracted that, hey man, everything good? Okay, and then let's talk about it quickly. So it's always good, just like whenever you're having a bad day or one of them random horrible thoughts, it's good to acknowledge the thought and say, yeah, I understand, but no, I'm doing this. We tend to do that, especially whenever we are going through, I guess, a big change, or we're about to do something like maybe give a proposal to a big client, or whether about to share the word of God to a complete stranger. Like, I'll be honest, man, I struggle with that sometimes because I focus on my worldview and things like that. But I'm like, but dude, it's their soul is at stake. You need to just reframe your way of thinking. And if it's a big proposal, say, you know what, if this doesn't work out, I know God will open up another opportunity. And whenever you think of it that way, then it makes you feel more calm and relaxed. Now, I know there's more to it than that, but just view it from that perspective. Now, I want you to go out there and have a great day. And remember, if you need a community to jump in, I have a free one. Link it down below. Check it out, bro. All right, I'll see ya.